Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Volume 12 of Step Through the Ropes. Now, November 5th of 2000 was the very last ECW November to Remember event, as well as ECW November to Remember pay-per-view. It was pretty much a trying time, and I guess, I don't know, the things were really falling apart for ECW around this time. But here's how the very event had gone down. The event kicked off with Joey Styles and Joel Gertner doing the usual introduction, but then they're interrupted by Simon Diamond and Swinger. And Diamond was claiming responsibility for the end of Tommy Dreamer's career, and he got on like Styles and Gertner's case for not mentioning it, and Gertner was attacked until Tommy Dreamer came to the rescue, only for C.W. Anderson to come out and attack Dreamer. But then out came Joey Matthews and Christian York to save Dreamer, and they had a match with Swinger and Diamond right then and there, which saw Simon Diamond and Swinger defeat Christian York and Joey Matthews with the Problem Solver double team finisher. And then eventually, Diamond, Swinger, and CW continue to attack both of them until Kid Cash comes out to the ring and makes a save, and he has a match with CW right then and there, which was memorable for the fact that CW did a stalling superplex from the second rope. For those who don't know, the stalling suplex is where the late Davey Boy Smith was known for lifting an opponent up for a suplex and holding him for maybe 30 seconds or longer. And that's what CW was doing. Was standing on the second rope and held on to Kid Cash for I don't know how many seconds, and eventually brought him down. But Cash ended up picking up the win over Anderson. Next, we were set to see Dastardly Danny Doring and Roadkill take on Hot Commodity, which consisted of Chris Hamrick, Julio De Niro, and Easy Money, accompanied the ring by Elektra. Not sure which two men were supposed to have the match, but eventually out came in-ring commissioner Spike Dudley, and he decides it ends up a six-man tag team match, which saw Spike, Doring, and Roadkill defeat all three members of Hot Commodity. Next up, out comes the first graduate of the ECW House of Hardcore, Chris Chetty, accompanied the ring by Louis Dangerously. For those who don't remember, that was Sign Guy Dudley. And Chetty was about to have a match with former tag team partner Nova, who later became Simon Dean. Chetty had taken the microphone, and he says to Nova, "Winner stays, loser leaves." And even Louis Dangerously will say to Chetty, "What are you doing?" So Nova comes out, and eventually they have a match, and Nova nails his kryptonite crunch from the top rope, defeating Chris Chetty, and as a result, Chetty was out of ECW. Up next was Chili Willy, not the cartoon penguin, and the late Balls Mahoney against the Baldies, Tony DeVito and Angel, in a flaming tables match where I believe both members of the team had to be put through a burning tables that were set on fire. Yeah, I don't know how anyone could have done that. Mahoney and Willie were victorious over the Baldies. Next up was the first title match of the evening. Yeah, as the Man Beast, as Joey Styles called him, Rhino, defeated New Jack to retain the television championship. And then up next, we saw the tag team championship on the line as Little Guido and Tony Mamaluke, the full-blooded Italians, defended their belts against the Unholy Alliance, Mikey Whipwreck and Yoshihiro Tajiri. Whipwreck executed a whippersnapper from the top rope, but injured his shoulder in the process, leaving Tajiri by himself until Super Crazy had made his in-ring return and took over for Whipwreck in the matchup. But it was all for naught, as eventually the FBI were victorious, as they actually pinned Tajiri to retain the tag team championship. Then in the main event, which was billed as a double Jeopardy match, insert Alex Trebek joke right there, or reference, as we saw Jerry Lynn defended the heavyweight championship against former champions The Sandman, Justin Credible, and the King of Old School, Steve Corino. And this basically was like a four-way elimination matchup, which saw first Credible pin Jerry Lynn with the That's Incredible, and at the same time, Corino hit the Old School Expulsion, which was a reverse twist of fate neckbreaker on the Sandman, and both Lynn and Sandman were eliminated at the same time, and it came down to Credible and Corino, and Credible had quite a battle just alone. At one point, Dawn Marie, who along with Jack Victory, had accompanied Corino to the ring. Dawn Marie low-blowed Corino and walked out on the match. Credible hit Corino with the Singapore cane, and Corino then hit his old school kick, which is a super kick, and Corino ended up became the ECW heavyweight champion. Now, things I have to say about this pay-per-view, my understanding, this was like the beginning of Jerry Lynn starting a slow and steady heel turn, as he eventually aligned himself with Cyrus the Virus, Don Callis, or of course it was the Jackal in the WWF. Other noteworthy things about this show. Let's see here. Well, it was seemingly Chris Jetty's final wrestling appearance in ECW. He eventually appeared as a referee. I forgot which one of the next, either the next or a month later, ECW pay-per-views took place. Thing about it, this pay-per-view, I don't know if the plan was for Steve Corino all along to become heavyweight champion, but I don't know. It seemed that if ECW was grasping the straws at the time, because this show was done, without Rob Van Dam. Sabu walked out earlier in the year. The late Mike Awesome went off to WCW. Lance Storm went off to WCW. Who else did they lose? Raven left and went back to the WWF. And basically, eventually, Swinger ended up back in WC. Eventually went back to WCW. So this was basically a really trying time for ECW back then. But what do you think, folks? You think, based on what was going on with ECW at the time, were they really grasping the straws? Do you think Steve Corino was the plan all along to become heavyweight champion? Let me know what you think, wrestling fans, and hopefully I will have more topics to come up with.